जय श्री श्री राधा माधव की, जय श्री श्री राधा मदन मोहन की। जयो विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद, श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। श्री श्री राधा मदन मोहन की जय। श्री श्री कृष्ण बलराम की जय। श्री श्री गौर निताई की जय। शील संदीपनि मुनि की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय। गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि। All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunnavadi Paschattam Vishata. Lord Brahma Sampradaya is known as Brahma Sampradaya. The one that is coming from Lord Shiva is called Rudra Sampradaya. One that is coming from Lakshmi Devi is Shri Sampradaya, and one coming from the four Kumaras known as the Kumar Sampradaya. So these are the four Vaishnava Sampradayas. শব্দ কে করছে, কথা বলছি ভাই। So these four sampradayas were established in order to deliver this material nature. These four sampradayas are known as Kshitipavana, the deliverer of this earth planet. Kshiti is the name of the earth planet, one of the names of the earth planet, and Pavana is delivered by these four Vaishnava sampradayas. With the advent of the age of Kali, there was dharmasya glani. The religious principles became affected, and in the name of the Vedas, all kinds of undesirable activities were going on. Especially in the name of the Vedas, animal sacrifice became rampant. The performance, animal sacrifice, used to be a part of the performance of yajna for the pleasure of the Lord. But in the age of Kali, in order to eat the meat of the animals, they started to slaughter animals in the name of sacrifice, yajna. Therefore, in order to stop the animal sacrifice, the Lord appeared as Buddha. Nindasi yagga videraha shruti jatam sadaya hridaya darshita poshughatam keshavadhrita buddha sharira. Keshav, Krishna, appeared as Lord Buddha to stop the animal sacrifice. But in order to do that, he had to stop, or he had to reject the Vedas. Ved na mania bodho hoilo nastik. The followers of Buddha, because they did not accept the Vedas, therefore they became Nastiks or atheists. Then Lord Shiva was instructed by Krishna to re-establish the Vedas, and as a result of that, Lord Shiva appeared as Shankaracharya. And in order to establish the Vedas, Shankaracharya created one doctrine which is known as Vivartavad or Kevaladvaitavad. So Kevaladvaitavad in short can be known as Mayavad. So this Mayavad is also another form of atheism. Ved na manya bodho hoilo nastik. Because the Buddhists did not accept the Vedas, they became atheists. They are actually, indirectly, they are the atheists. But Shankaracharya, he created a doctrine which was similar to the doctrines of the Buddhists. That is, Buddhists their doctrine is known as Shunyavad or voidism. But Shankaracharya established a Siddhanta or Matavad that was known as Nirvisheshvad. That was known as Nirvisheshvad. So Shunyavad and Nirvisheshvad, like Shunyavad is indirect or covered atheism, and Nirvisheshvad is covered Shunyavad, voidism. But Shankaracharya had to do that in order to re-establish the Vedas, which was rejected by Lord Buddha in order to stop the animal sacrifice. So he came. Ramanujacharya is also an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Ramanujacharya was born in South India, near Madras, near Chennai, today's Chennai. His father's name was Keshavacharya, and his mother's name was Kantimati. Keshavacharya was a very, very exalted Brahmana who was very expert in performing sacrifices. So Keshavacharya, in order to beget a child, performed a great sacrifice in a place called Vrindaranya on the bank of the ocean, on the bank of a lake called Lily Lake. And this sacrifice was performed in front of Lord Parthasarathi. Parthasarathi is another name of Krishna, Partha Sarathi. During the battle of Kurukshetra, Krishna became the charioteer of Arjuna or Partha. Therefore, he was celebrated as Partha Sarathi. So, and as a result of that sacrifice to Partha Sarathi, at the end of the sacrifice, Partha Sarathi appeared to Keshavacharya and told him that he would appear as his son. And as a result of that, in course of time, Kantimati gave birth to an very exalted child, and that child was Ramanujacharya. At around the same time, Kantimati's sister, Mahadevi, also gave birth to a boy, and his name became Govinda. From their childhood, both these boys became very intimate friends. So, Ramanuja, Ram, from the name itself we can see he is Ram's Anuja. That means he is the incarnation of Lakshmi. He was an extremely brilliant boy. Naturally, he is the incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Extremely intelligent, very beautiful, and endowed with all divine qualities. So in this way the Lord appears, takes birth as a human being, apparently as a human being, to perform his pastimes on this planet. So Ramanujacharya, when he was 16 years old, he went to study as a student of a very renowned scholar of that time, whose name was Yadav Prakash. So Yadav Prakash was a very renowned scholar of that time, but unfortunately he was an impersonal, he was a Mayavad. At that time, India was in the grip of the Mayavad doctrine. As a matter of fact, still today, India is in the grip of Mayavad doctrine. People became so much influenced by Mayavad that they do not have any understanding, or they do not want to accept the personal feature of the Lord. So this Yadav Prakash was a very brilliant scholar, and he was a big proponent of Shankaracharya's Kevaladvaita or Mayavad. So one day, while Ramanujacharya was massaging his guru, Yadav Prakash some students were sitting in front of him, and Yadav Prakash, and the student asked, and Yadav Prakash was explaining one description of the Lord, which says that Yasya tasya yatha kapyasham pundarikam evam akshine. Akshine, the two eyes of Pundarikam, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is like the Sanskrit expression has been given as Kapyasham. Kapyasham is the description of the eyes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Yadav Prakash, he described this, he analyzed this expression Kapyasham is as Kopi Ashyam. Kopi means monkey. Kopi means monkey, and Asyam is the behind. So he described that the eyes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is red as the hind side of a monkey. So Ramanujacharya was massaging him. So Yadav Prakash felt that some water, hot water fell on his body. So he looked up and he saw that there were hot tears actually fell from Ramanuja's eyes. So he asked what happened. And Ramanuja said that to describe the all-attractive Supreme Personality of Godhead's eyes in that way was not appropriate. And he was so hurt, he was so afflicted that tears came from his eyes. So Yadav Prakash asked, then he was very angry. He said, "You know better than me. You are my disciple and you don't accept my description. Anyway, what do you think is the meaning of this word, Kapyasham?" So Ramanujacharya explained that Kaun or Jalam, water, Pivati, iti Kapyasham. Drinks water, that's why it is Kapyasam. Now who drinks water? Lotus drinks water. Therefore another name of lotus is Kapyasam, has been described as Kapyasam. So the Lord's eyes have been described here as red as the fully bloomed lotus that drinks water, therefore Kapyasam. So Yadav Prakash was already noticing that this boy is a devotee of the Lord, great devotee of the Lord. So he became afraid that probably this boy is going to become a big opponent to the Kevala Dvaitavad or Mayavad philosophy. Therefore he decided to get rid of this boy, kill him. Because otherwise in future he may become a great threat to the doctrines of Shankaracharya. So he made a plot. He told some of his disciples that what a big threat he is to the Sampradaya, therefore he should be get rid of. And so he made a plan that he would go to Ganga, become free from all their sinful reaction. And so they traveled. They decided to go from South India to North India. And some students also joined. And Ramanujacharya also joined. And Govinda also joined. They didn't know, they didn't have, Ramanujacharya and Govinda didn't have any idea what was the purpose of this so-called pilgrimage. Therefore, so innocently they joined the team, they took leave from their mothers, and they started to travel with the group. Then one day, one night, Govinda overheard this conspiracy, that they were planning that this is the place where we would kill Ramanujacharya. And then after killing, we will look for him, and then when we couldn't find him, we will say that maybe some wild animal has eaten him up. And then we will go to Ganga and get rid of our sin, taking bath there. So then one day Govinda got some opportunity to speak to Ramanuja in a solitary place, and he told him about the whole conspiracy. So, and he said that you just run away from me. So hearing that, Ramanuja left and on his own started to travel south from there. And in the middle of the forest, there was no road, there was no way to find out which direction to go. And so in the middle of the forest, he came across one hunter and his wife. The sight of that hunter was very fierce. He had a big body, dark complexion, almost, it was so dark that it looked almost blue. And he was with his wife. And so they also were surprised to see this young, handsome boy in the middle of the forest. So he told him that he was traveling south towards Kanchipuram, where he actually belonged to. So those travelers, hunters said, okay, we know the forest path, so you come with us, you can travel some distance with me. And he became very thirsty. He said, come, we know some place, there is a well, and in that well you can drink your water. So then he traveled with them. Eventually, in the morning, they pointed out that, so here is the well, you can go and drink the well, drink the water. And then when he looked back, he found that they were not there. They just disappeared. So, and he found there was a deep well and the stairs were leading down to the well. And he drank water. And then he was sitting there and some people came and he asked, which is the place, which is this place? And they said, oh, what kind of a person you are? You don't know this well, this very famous well, which is the landmark of Kanchipuram. So in this way, by the mercy of this hunter and his wife, Ramanujacharya came back to Kanchipuram. And he recognized, then he realized who was this hunter. He realized that this hunter and his wife was none other than Lakshmi Narayana. And he started to lament, the Lord so mercifully came to me and I couldn't recognize him, I couldn't take advantage of him. Instead of serving him,
I took his service. He came so close to me and I got such an opportunity to render some devotional service unto him. But instead of rendering devotional service to him, I took service from him. He showed me the way to how to come to Kanchipuram. And in the meantime, Yadav Prakash, he started to look for Ramanuja and couldn't find him. And Yadav Prakash and his disciples felt that maybe Ramanuja has been really eaten up by some wild animal. He said, it's good that we did not have to commit the heinous crime of killing him. He has been taken care of already. And after the pilgrimage, when they came back and they presented the sad story to the villagers, that how in the course of the pilgrimage, Ramanuja was eaten up by some wild animal in the forest. But all the villagers told him, what? Ramanuja is here. And then Yadav Prakash, then he came to Ramanuja and begged forgiveness from him. And Ramanuja instructed him to become a devotee of the Lord, accept Krishna consciousness. So in this way, Ramanujacharya converted a great Mayavadi proponent just as a young boy. There are many wonderful incidences with Ramanujacharya's life. One incident was that the princess of Kanchipuram became haunted by a ghost, and not an ordinary ghost, it was a Brahma Rakshasa. And this Brahma Rakshasa, the princess became haunted and she was behaving in a strange way. And many ghostbusters, sorcerers came to get rid of the ghost, but no one succeeded. Then it was declared, someone declared that if Ramanujacharya comes and places his feet on the head of the princess, then the Brahma Rakshasa would leave. Actually, the Brahma Rakshasa himself declared that if Ramanuja comes and places his feet, and he said that none of you will succeed, none of you will be able to do anything to me. It is only when Ramanuja comes and places his feet on my head will I leave. And so the king sent for Ramanujacharya. And Ramanujacharya was very reluctant. He said, how can I put my feet on the head of the princess? And the king pleaded, please, because that is the only way that my daughter, the princess, can be relieved of this ghost, Brahma Rakshasa. When a Brahmana becomes a ghost, it becomes a terrible ghost. They become Brahma Rakshasa. So then Ramanujacharya was taken to the palace, and hesitatingly Ramanujacharya placed his feet on the head of the princess, and immediately the Brahma Rakshasa started to speak. Yes, now I leave. As an indication of my leaving, I will break the top branch of the banyan tree, upper branch of the banyan tree. And then immediately everyone could the sound of the huge tree, the top part of the huge banyan tree is breaking. So this is how the Prince Ramanujacharya delivered the Brahmarakshasa which was haunting the princess. Ramanujacharya was extremely brilliant personality, and his fame spread to different places. And at that time there was Jamunacharya, another great leader of the Sri Sampradaya, who was actually a king, but he renounced his kingdom and became a menial servant of the Lord in Sri Rangam. And he was a great acharya. So Jamunacharya one day came to Kanchipuram and he saw Ramanujacharya. And just by seeing him, he could recognize that here is a great devotee of the Lord. But he saw Ramanujacharya in the association of Yadav Prakash, who although was a great scholar, but he was an impersonalist. So Jamunacharya became very concerned and he told his disciple Kanchipurna to somehow rescue Ramanujacharya. Jai Shri Shri Krishna Balaram ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan ki Jai Shri Shri Gauranitai ki. So he mentioned that they should try to get Ramanujacharya away from this Yadav Prakash, because Yadav Prakash's influence is going to be very detrimental. So, but Ramanujacharya also heard about Jamunacharya, and he always wanted to meet Jamunacharya. But it didn't happen. Then one day, somebody came and said that Jamunacharya was in his deathbed. Jamunacharya is about to leave his body and he wanted to see him. So Ramanujacharya immediately left with that man. But when he came to Jamunacharya's place, he found out that Jamunacharya had left his body already. So Ramanujacharya became very repentant. He started to cry. This great Vaishnavacharya whom I wanted to meet, I could not get his darshan. And when he came to see, he saw Jamunacharya's body was lying on bed. And he noticed that 3 of his fingers were clenched in his hand. 3 fingers were clenched, were bent. So he asked, was it always like that? Was his fingers like that always? And others said, no, his fingers were normal. So then Ramanujacharya took 3 vows there, one after another. The first one, he took a resolution, he resolved that he would purify the conditioned souls submerged in ocean of ignorance, but by the process of Pancharatrika, Vidhi, and bring them to the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So when he took that vow, one finger opened up. Then he resolved that he would write the Sri Bhashya, the commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam, in the line of Sri Sampradaya. The second finger opened up. And then he resolved that in order to repay his debt to Parashar Muni, he would name one of his disciples as Parashar, and the third finger opened up. So in this way, it was proved that Jamunacharya was waiting for Ramanujacharya to come back, and he wanted him to accomplish a great mission of establishing supremacy of the Sri Sampradaya and become an Acharya of that Sampradaya in this way. And by taking these three vows, Ramanujacharya relieved Jamunacharya from this anxiety, and then Ramanujacharya started to propagate Krishna consciousness in the line of Sri Sampradaya. Soon after that, Ramanujacharya took initiation from Kanchipurna in that line. And it's also very interesting to note that Ramanujacharya was a very exalted Brahmana, but Kanchipurna actually came from a Sudra family. So this way he actually, by taking initiation from Kanchipurna, Ramanujacharya proved that a Vaishnava does not have any consideration. For a Vaishnava there is no consideration of caste and creed. A Vaishnava, in whichever family he is born, when one becomes a Vaishnava, he transcends the material platform and becomes situated on the transcendental platform. So, in this way Ramanujacharya during his time established a very wonderful principle of Vaishnava platform. Vaishnaved nahi jati kuladi vichar. For a Vaishnava there is no consideration of jati and kula. Ramanujacharya came to re-establish the principles of personalism, and he established the principle of Vishishtadvaitavad. Over Shankaracharya's Kevaladvaitavad, Ramanujacharya established the Vishishtadvaitavad, and in this way he established the supreme consideration of the Vedanta philosophy in the form of personalism over impersonalism. Shankaracharya came and established impersonalism, Nirvisheshvad or Vivartavad. This Vivartavad is a new doctrine established by Shankaracharya over the actual Vedic conclusion of Parinambad. Parinambad is the theory or the doctrine of transformation. Doctrine of transformation. Brahma Parinambad. Brahma is transformed into Jagat. Brahma is transformed into Jagat. But on that, rejecting that Parinambad, Shankaracharya established a theory which is called Vivartavad or theory of illusion, with the doctrine that Brahma Satya Jagan Mithya. Brahma is real, but this material nature is false. So, Parinambad, Brahma Parinambad is transformation theory, the doctrine of transformation. Brahman is transformed into Jagat. This material nature is a transformation of Brahman. But Shankaracharya came with a doctrine called Vivartavad, which is theory of illusion. Brahma Sattva Jagat Mithya. Mithya, false. And he took a few concepts from the Vedas, Upanishads, and established his doctrine. One of the few considerations he gave was that it is just as a mirage is unreal, this material nature is unreal. Mithya or unreal. Like there is, mirage is illusion. So therefore this Jagat is an illusion. Just as a mirage is an illusion, it appears that there is water in the mirage, but there is no water. Similarly, the variegatedness of the material nature is unreal. He gave another example of the rope and a snake. Just as a rope is mistaken to be a snake, it's actually rope, it's not snake, but it appears to be a rope. Or mother of pearl is mistaken or appears to be like silver. So these are all bhram or illusion. It's not there, but it appears to be like that. So this is the difference between Parinambad, which is an actual Vedic concept. But Shankaracharya, instead of the Parinambad, he established the Vivartavad or theory of illusion or Mayavad. So Ramanujacharya came and defeated that Mayavad of Shankaracharya with the argument. He gave 21 reasons, and out of these, some are these, which completely devastated Shankaracharya's Mayavad philosophy. And so he made a point that fine, there is no water in the mirage, but somewhere the water must be existing. Therefore the mirage appears to be water. Fine, there is no snake in the rope, but somewhere the snake must be existing. Therefore the rope appears to be like a snake. So material variegatedness may be illusory, but somewhere that variety is there. That's why it appears to be that illusory concept in the material nature. So where is that variegatedness? The variegatedness is in the spiritual reality. And in this way he established his Vishishta Dvaitavad over Kevala Dvaitavad. The Kevaladvaitavad doctrine is that this variegatedness in the material nature is Maya. But Brahma is without variegatedness, nirvishesh. There is no variety, it is just Brahman. That is Brahma Satya Jaganmitra. But what Ramanujacharya established, that the variegatedness that we are experiencing in the material nature is existing in the spiritual nature. That's why this variegatedness is experienced here. Just like if something is seen in a reflection, we have to understand that it is also there in the reality. If the real thing is not existing, then how can we see it in the reflection? We are seeing the reflection of a tree. Can that reflection exist without the tree? No. Similarly, the variety of this material nature that we are experiencing in the material nature is unreal as a reflection, not as illusion. And the real substance is there in the spiritual nature. So in this way, Ramanujacharya established the variegatedness or the variety of the spiritual reality. So he is undoubtedly one of the greatest acharyas of all time. He is considered to be the Sampradaya Acharya of Sri Sampradaya, and according to Ramanujacharya, Sri Sampradaya is today known as Ramanuja Sampradaya. And today is Srila Ramanujacharya's disappearance day, and we beg for his causeless mercy upon us on this day, that he showers his causeless mercy upon us and we can continue to make advancement in spiritual life. Srila Ramanujacharya ki, Srila Ramanujacharya's disappearance day celebration ki, Gaur Premanande Hari. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunnava